Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, to March's OpenNTF webinar talking about the HCL Digital Solutions Community. On our agenda today, we have our usual preliminaries that I'll be going through, then we have our presentation with Jay, Paul, and Cynthia, and then at the end, we will have our question and answer session. So as I'll go into all during this, feel free to put questions into the question pane, and then we will answer them at the end. But before we start anything else, I do, as always, want to thank our sponsors. So our big one is HCL. They made a contribution to help keep our organization going. So it funds these webinars. Like, these things are not free, but thanks to HCL, to us they are. It helps us with events and community interaction on Discord, and just generally running the organization. We try to be lean, but you can't run something like this with $0, and HCL makes that possible. And similarly, Prominent donates all IT-related services. So they run our servers, Domino and others, and they do infrastructure management for us. So we can send things over their way, and they take care of it. They've been doing that for a very long time, and it sure takes a lot of hassle off of our plate to have them run our servers for us. And next up, as always, I want to talk about the general community. So we are all OpenNTF. That's the idea of this. We are here to participate and learn from each other. We're all volunteers. No one is paid to be a contributor at OpenNTF. No one, maybe at your company you get some time, but OpenNTF is not paying anybody anything. Board members don't make any money. We're all here to volunteer. We're all here to help out and learn together. And along those lines, no effort is too small. If you just have, I always like to talk about documentation because I'm terrible at it. There's a lot of developers are, and so that's often a good way for somebody to help out with a project. If you use it and you find that, the documentation, like I tried to learn it from here, I had to ask, and you can then contribute back better documentation. That's a great way to get into it. If you have an idea for a project, like, it would be great if this kind of app existed, you can always ask in Discord, see if anybody else is interested in it, maybe get together a group. We've had projects like that have done very well, where just somebody has an idea, it's a big project, but other people become very interested, and that's how things take off. So that's a great way to go about it. You can always test or help modify an existing project. So, we have stuff up on OpenNTF. Just using it is itself often very useful. Like, if you run into questions, that will help clarify things for the developer. If you run into bugs, that will certainly help. And then if you find stuff that you would like to modify, that can be a great way to get into it. So, and even just adding reviews on projects or talking about them, we have in the Discord, we have some channels for specific projects that you can talk about them there and ask questions. It's just generally participating with this stuff. As somebody who runs a couple projects, it is very helpful when people are involved and talking about it, which, conveniently is going to be the topic of our presentation today. But just participating in the community itself helps the community. So you don't necessarily have to devote tons of time. You are welcome to. We always like it when people do, but any level of participation is good, and it helps us all. And we have a couple upcoming events. So next week, we are, for most months this year, we're planning to have HCL open mics. The scheduling for the various teams didn't work out this month. They all have a lot on their plates. So instead, I am going to shim in myself and do a contributor introduction to the new OpenNTF website. So this is something that's been kind of, admittedly very backburnered for me, but it's been something I've been working on and off for a good while now. But a couple people have expressed interest in contributing and working on it. And so next week I will be doing a presentation for anyone interested on how it works, like how the website is being built. It's in an NSF using JEE stuff that I've been working on. It will be of interest to anybody who wants to help out or just kind of wants to see what this sort of application looks like. So that'll be in a week. It will be recorded, so it'll be there for the future. In April, we have our next webinar. It'll be on the 17th, and then we plan to have an open mic on the following week. So that's our general schedule. And then in May, we'll presumably also be doing things, but critically, that's Engage. So anybody, the agenda or the accepted presentations have gone out for Engage, so it's looking pretty sharp. So anybody who's able to make it, definitely recommend it. Engage is great. So that's coming up quick. And then we wanted to make a note that we're doing these webinars, but we as OpenNTF are always open to taking webinar suggestions. Like sometimes we will seek people out and request, but our lifeblood is people saying, "Hey, I want to do a webinar on this." Even if we have a book schedule, we can do multiple a month. We did that a couple times last year when it makes sense. So we are not beholden to one per month. And this can be a good use for interesting topics that couldn't fit in at Engage. Like Engage only has so much time during those couple days, and so if your presentation couldn't fit, send it our way, and we can potentially work it in. And so we are always open to this sort of thing. We want to have a good stable and a good runway for our webinars. So we are always accepting new suggestions. And finally, you can join us on Discord. So many of you are there already. If you're not yet, you can use this QR code or go to openntf.org/discord. That will take you to our landing page, and you can join in. All are welcome. It's a great place to participate, either about OpenNTF specific stuff or just general Domino questions or general development or admin questions. So we welcome people there. It's been going great and still goes strong. So please join us in Discord. And now the last logistical thing is asking questions. I mentioned earlier that you can ask questions in the questions pane. It'll look something like this. There's a tab on the window depending on how you have your GoToMeeting window set up. But there is a questions pane. Ask your questions in there. We will answer them at the end. So as usual, we will corral them and then go through basically in the order that they came in at the end of the presentation. Even though, and we always have to give this disclaimer, even when there are people from HCL like today, you don't ask unrelated product questions. This is not the place for that. You are free to ask unrelated questions in Discord, but please keep questions on topic. We don't generally have a problem with this, but just in case. So yeah, you are welcome to ask unrelated things in Discord, but for now, keep it about the HCL DS community. And so now I'll hand off the presentation about the welcome to the HCL DS community.
Okay, so welcome to the HCL Digital Solutions community. First off, because it's still fairly new and he was a massive member of the community and was also someone I was fortunate enough to work with for a few years, I'd just like to say a few words about Bob Balaban. As many of you may have heard, he passed away last week. He was a massive member of the Yellowverse, and it was quite fitting that the last project that he was working with us all on was taking Lotus Script and having it running outside of Lotus Notes. After all, that was where he made his name, was actually taking Lotus Script and putting it into Lotus Notes. So it's a great loss for the community, and I know he's a great loss for many people in the community as well. But I'm very glad to have been able to work with him, and I'm sure that anyone who met him is glad that they were able to meet him as well. So first off, speakers today, myself and Cynthia. This is a slightly different bio than what you're used to from me. I've been lucky enough to have built production applications on most of the HCL development platforms, including Voltamex before HCL even bought Voltamex. That wasn't a production application, but I was able to play about with that. So I've got a breadth of development experience on the HCL products. Cynthia, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Sure. So I was program director for this project and just really fortunate to work with this group of super skilled people, especially Paul. I'll make a note that the team that has been working on this project are really volunteering their time, in addition to their regular job, because we all feel that it's very important that we have this community available and have a way to get closer to our customers and business partners. So really excited. I've been working with this portfolio of products at IBM and HCL for the last 20 plus years. So this is a great milestone for us.
And we're finally allowing Cynthia out of the basement as well, so that's always good. So first off, this isn't the HCL developer community. You're probably aware of that from the screenshot, but I just wanted to draw attention to a couple of things on this screenshot. So the first one is the logo up in the top left. I was on the board of OpenNTF when we were looking at commissioning that logo, and about the same time we discussed possibly changing the name. Notes was getting a lot of bad reputation. There were a lot of companies that were making businesses out of migrating people off of Notes, and we were conscious that OpenNTF, the NTF part, was very tied to Notes. We were also in the process of setting up a connections subsite. We were also hosting DX content as well, and we thought about changing the name, but we decided against it. Obviously, OpenNTF had already been supporting same time projects, for example, and quicker projects. They're still on the site there. And even though NTF, the NTF part focusing on template, focused on development, there was still a lot of admin stuff that was happening. We've got Collaboration Today, which has a whole section on admin blogs now. And we've got the webinars, which have covered a lot of admin areas, as well as covering other products like Leap as well. And I think it's important to highlight that the name doesn't define what it does or who it caters for. That's driven by how people use the site. And I think that's an important point to bear in mind. The second one is this particular page. You'll notice that the download there is blank.txt. Even though integration with GitHub was added in way back when, there's still the requirement to actually upload a file onto the releases tab, even though, as you can see with the description, I tried to highlight that don't download it from there, go to GitHub. But if you look at the downloads, you'll see that quite a number of people across a number of releases have downloaded that blank.txt and presumably opened it up and seen the message inside that says, go and download it from GitHub. Even when you build a site yourself, it takes a lot of maintenance. It may be exactly fit for purpose when it first is released, but that purpose may change and therefore it needs continual development. And perfect timing, Jesse's got the webinar next week about his redevelopment. And as he says, it's taken a while to do that. The day job gets in the way, and that's no different here. In the case of the OpenNTF website, obviously there's nothing available out there that fits the requirements of that site perfectly. But for other things, there are. So this webinar is on GoToWebinar, for example. It's not on something custom built because what's available out there fits the brief, and allowed OpenNTF to have webinars and deploy webinars very quickly during lockdown without needing to wait for something to be built. So we've got a packed agenda. We will also be covering some specific FAQs. So don't ask questions about these until we've covered those towards the end of the webinar, like about community forums, what the role is of Discourse versus Discord, and about HCL content that is not currently on the site. So I will be covering those towards the end. So first, a bit of background, and I'll pass over to Cynthia at this point.
Sure. So this is our mission statement. And I think a couple of things to just call out here. The key words for me are technical community. This is a community for technical professionals. It's not a HCL marketing website. So we do have links to those in the community, but this is really a place for discussion, collaboration, and working together for the technical community. And that's really key to what we're doing. Let's see, I think there's another slide there, Paul. There we go. Key reasons to join, and I'm sure there's probably others that we haven't thought of, but really the net of this is that we've got experts on the HCL side, we've got experts in the business partner community and our customer community, and we all do better by working together. And I think that that's really important. We want to make this a place where people can come and share their knowledge and gain knowledge, and I feel like they're part of something that is a little bit bigger than just what their little piece of the world is. So we have a lot to learn from all of you. This is it's not just HCL pushing information. We want to make sure that everybody is participating here. So please join if you haven't already, and let us know what you think.
Thanks. So on to the next slide. The solution that we went for is something called Discourse. It's using Ember.js and Ruby for the techies amongst you who want to know what's under the hood there. And I hadn't worked with either before. Initially, I started off well before we started developing, doing the proof of concept for it. It's founded by Jeff Atwood. Hopefully, quite a number of people in the community are aware of him from either his Coding Horror blog or from Stack Overflow. He was one of the people behind setting that up. He's now stepped away from being the CEO, and that's been handed off to a couple of other people. But there are more than 22,000 communities, according to the website, that are using it. And if you've used any Discourse platforms, then it'll become very apparent as you go onto a forum, for example, that actually that's using Discourse. So Node-RED, for example, uses Discourse. Rust uses Discourse for their forum. And I went onto Vardin and searched a question about that just the other day and thought, oh, yeah, that's using Discourse as well. It is highly themable, extremely customizable and extensible. There's a load of plugin points, and there's a lot that you can do just with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If it's updating the database behind that, then that needs to be a plugin, which requires Ruby, but we haven't actually developed any of those. There's a very active developer community. We have installed a number of plugins into the site, and some of those have actually been superseded by core functionality as well. And the other key thing that I want to bring up there, that's not something that you're probably ever going to see, but its reporting is extremely powerful. So I will release the little bit of information that maybe I shouldn't, that we had a problem about an hour before this webinar, and I was able to see how many people had been using the site within the last hour, for example, or how many people were active very quickly. It was very powerful for that. So getting access, it is open access for reading. However, you'll see the reply button in places. If you try and click that, then it'll prompt you to log in. We've got ratings, which I'll come back to later. That's not visible if you're not logged in. And attachments with lockdown downloading of attachments, so that you have to be logged in as well. And people can't see user profiles without being logged in as well. There are benefits of creating an account and logging in. It allows you to see the what's new and latest. Obviously, it's hard to tell what's new to you if you're not logged in. So obviously that's area doesn't appear if you're not logged in. There's a lot of personalization that you can do, a lot of tracking and watching of categories, topics, tags, replies. And there is a limited chat that's available out of the box that we haven't taken out. We don't see a reason to take it out, but I will come back to maybe a couple of uses of that chat later on. So when you want to log in, there are a number of options that are available. You can log in with a username and password. That does take you immediately to your profile and require you to set up two-factor authentication. All of the normal authenticator app options are available. If you click on that, then it brings up a QR code for you to use with your favored authenticator application. But one of the other nice things about Discourse is there's a lot of third-party login options that are required, that are available rather, and it's very easy to set them up. So we've enabled GitHub and Discord. Discord, the email address that you're using, you'll need to be one that you're using for either the OpenNTF or the DX's user group Discords. If it's an email address that you're using for other Discords, then that won't allow you in. And then the two-factor authentication options are offloaded to whatever that third party is, because it's going into the normal OAuth dance for whichever of those third-party options are set up. If you set up a username and password, and we had an advanced access for the ambassadors, for example, it won't allow you to link your account to your GitHub login or Discord login, but you can log in. You can click the login with GitHub button or the login with Discord button, and if you're using the same email address as your local account, it'll automatically just push you straight in. And there's a passwordless login as well. So you can set up passkey options in there as well. If you have any problems, then have a look at the About page. There is an email address that you can email with any problems setting up an account, and that comes to, amongst others, myself, Jay, and Cynthia. Without further ado, let's go into the site itself and use that to start looking at familiarizing yourself with the site. So this is the home page. We've got a number of products here, and we've also got the option to personalize which products show up here. When you create your account, whichever route you go, it'll prompt you to select which products you're interested in, and that defines what appears when you do show mine. It's not fixed in time. You can go in and change them. So I can take out Leap here, for example, save the changes, and now Leap's gone from there. You can also update that in your profile. There's a field down here for HCL products. And if I add Leap back in, I'd recommend doing it through the homepage, because if you do it here, you need to scroll down, you need to save the changes, you need to come back to home, and you need to refresh it. If you're using the Modify My Products, then it's instantaneous. And if you click on that by mistake, just click on it again and it hides. So we've got a number of products here. Obviously, there are areas where things fall between the cracks a little bit. So something like Domino REST API, I recommend putting that under HCL Domino, because even though it's a key part of VoltaMX, for example, all the Domino REST API users who would use it for VoltaMX, sorry, let me step back. The Domino REST API users for VoltaMX are a subset of the Domino REST API users for Domino, so you'll be reaching a larger audience there. We've got VoltaMX and VoltaMX Go. There's a lot that is different about the links for where they go. So for VoltaMX Go, we'd recommend using that for the Domino adapter, for Volt Formula and Volt Script. Any of the other areas like using Iris in general, and the Iris marketplace options, for example, or using Foundry for a JSON integration service, again, use VoltaMX, you'll reach a larger audience there. And total experience is something that's fairly new. That covers a number of products. It covers the customer data platform, digital experience, Foundry, Leap, total experience platform, and VoltaMX. Again, if you've got a question or you've got a tip that deals with just one of those on its own, like Leap, put it into the Leap category. If you've got something that's a bit more cross-product, then use the total experience category for that. That's what I'd recommend. Whether that ends up being how people use it, I have no control over. But when you then click into a product, there's a lot of similarities between them. You'll see the same 4 categories here: tips, forum, blogs, and events. Tips and forum are subcategories. So you'll also see tips and forum posts appearing here. The search will search across both tips and forums. Tips are given a higher weighting. That's one of the nice things. We can change what weighting different categories have. Blogs and events, because we're not seeing as much product specific individual product activity there, those are cross product categories. But if you click on blogs, for example, then it will filter to just the Domino blogs using the tag there. So those will filter on the product specific. But if you're searching for a blog post, you'd need to search in blogs or search across the whole site. We'll come back to searching in a moment. On the left, then we've got a number of links off all over the place. So we've got community first, because we think it's important that this is about the community. So that's why we're putting those above HCL links. We've then got links off to open source and links to downloads. The links here will vary from product to product, but those 4 categories are pretty standard. We've then also got the cross-product stuff. So we've got blogs, number of bits there are being fed in from externally, and we'll come back to those RSS feeds later. We've got events, and that brings up an events calendar here. Again, you can filter on a tag. It doesn't filter the calendar at the top. I've raised that on the support side for Discourse, but it does filter the list of ones underneath, and then you can just remove that filter. You've also got upcoming events up here, which is just that calendar. Green, we've got different colors. Green is OpenNTF events. Blue are HCL corporate events. And if I come over to May, then we've got yellow for user group events. It's restricted who can create events in here. Currently HCL software and ambassadors, and we have an events group that we could add people to if there are people who are organizing events who are not ambassadors. And we've got presentations and research materials. Again, research materials are a subcategory of presentations. OpenNTF, Oliver Busse tried to organize a group of people to create a presentations app for hosting presentations a while ago, and unfortunately it never really happened. But one of the things that I was aware of was that we could add in a presentations category here, and PDFs show up in lines so you can scroll through them here. When you create a presentation, then it prompts some questions for you to fill in there to confirm that you've got authorization to share that presentation. Research materials would be for things like white papers, cheat sheets, like the X Pages cheat sheet, for example, that David Leedy did. I did a cheat sheet on the Notes client a while back. So this is where up-to-date versions of those kind of things could be hosted. And we've also got a category here for jobs and opportunities. We'll see how this is used, but we want to provide a place for people to go to see what jobs and opportunities are available. There was a question a couple of weeks ago, actually just before we launched, on a Facebook group asking about where people go to find jobs. We want to provide that. And I didn't create this after that question. I actually created it months beforehand. And then we've got 3 site-specific areas. Site enhancements, these will be when we release new stuff. Site tips, I'd recommend you have a look at this. There's lots of excellent goodness there. I would say that because I wrote all of them, but lots of ideas about how you actually work with various areas, and site feedback for giving feedback. We've also got the top menu as well. Don't forget about those. We've got links off to generic job documentation, knowledge base, and software U sites. We've got links in the product left-hand navigation that go off to the product specific sections of those, but these are the more generic ones. Areas to try with stuff, so API Explorer. So we've got Domino REST API. You can see that Swagger spec there. You won't be able to test it here because there's no server behind it, but you can interrogate that if you want to see that without having to install Domino REST API. Similarly, we've got a lot of digital experience Swagger specs in there, and same time as well. And under more, we've got links off to the AHA site and support. If I go into the site tips, we've also, understanding our sitemap, we've got a nice little visual sitemap here, which is not a picture. I'll come back to that a bit later. So searching. Let's come into here so that we can see one. So let's search for something like note session. Doesn't look as if anything's coming up there, but once you start typing, then you get links in here to go off and search the HCL documentation in the HCL knowledge base, and it will pass across whatever your search criteria is in here. You've got this big search bar front and center, so you don't forget about it, but you've also got the search bar up in the top area here as well. So then you can search within that site, within that product, and forums and tips, any subsites there, or across the whole thing. And there, yeah, we're seeing quite a lot of stuff there. There's also this button over on the top right, on the right of that box. Again, it's also here as well. That takes you to the advanced search page, where you can search on all sorts of stuff. You can filter on categories, filter on one or more tags, just those tags or any tags, so all tags or any tags. searching on various topic posts, like just searching in the title, searching on the status of topics, who they were posted by, when they were posted, minimum and maximum posts as well. So there's all sorts of stuff there. In the search bar itself, and if I just clear that, you'll also see this when you click on the search bar up at the top, and it cycles through them. There's lots of additional things, and this one actually prompts me that you can also use Control and Enter. Is it Control and Enter on? Yep, it's also Control and Enter on a Mac as well. But you can do hashtags to filter on a specific tag or category, @ to filter on a user, @me filters on just your posts, status, : filters on posts of a particular status, and in : allows you to filter on metadata, so title, for example, or mine. And again, we've got a site tip that covers all of that. Personalization. Clicking on the cog, like I did earlier, takes you directly to your preferences. You've also, if you click on your avatar, then you can see likes. You can see, you won't see these flagged posts, but we do here, and I've deliberately left one in there for the moment, but there are also other notifications. If you click on your profile at the bottom, you can set whether you're online or not for presence awareness. You can pause the notifications, but then you can get into getting a list of your activity. For example, you can also come into badges and see the badges that you've got. Some of these you'll get automatically. You can see who you follow, who's following you, and a feed from the people that you follow. You can also get to the preferences, and there are a load of preferences. This whole area for your profile has a lot of functionality, so we've added this message up here. Again, nice bit of customization that we can do with a link off to a blog post, a site tip about your user preferences. Email preferences, you can handle when you get emails, when you get an activity summary for if you're not in there absolutely every day. Notifications, you can enable or disable live notifications for this device. On this case, it's this browser. On a mobile app, it would be on mobile, and handle when you get notified about things for around following as well. And tracking. This is a massive and very powerful area, and something that you can really mess up very quickly. I spammed ambassadors, accidentally setting them to auto watch site tips and site enhancements, and I apologize to them for that. I should have set them to track it. That means that you should then see a count of new posts under site enhancements and site tips. New comes up as you can change it, whether it's created in the last 2 days, whether you haven't viewed them, various options there. If you're in a post for a certain amount of time, by default 5 minutes, you'll automatically be set to track it. And again, when you post it, you can set it to be track or watch. Watching sends notifications and sends emails about it. Tracking should just give the count against those particular categories and come up with this little blue dot, for example. And yes, you can change all those options here. You can set to track certain tags, certain categories, and really configure your user experience there, and that's handled across all your devices then. You can also ignore users or mute users if you want to, handle whether people are allowed to send direct messages for you. And as I say, we've got this guide up here to tell you a bit more. You can also customize this left-hand navigation. There's this plus button down the bottom, so I can add a new section, and I can, let's have a circle question there and link off to the Domino forum. And as you see, I've done some of this already, and I can do calendar to go off to Domino events, for example. So /tags allows you to filter on specific tags, /tags/C, and then the category slug allows you to filter on tags within that category. So we can filter on just Domino events, and you won't see this visible to everyone, but that's just for administrators. But then that adds it to your left-hand navigation, not just for you for this device, but across all your devices. On mobile devices, by default, that left-hand menu is hidden. You need to click on the 3 lines up there and then you get it. But then hopefully that works. Yay! So that goes directly to those Domino events, and making sure that I deliberately choose the right one. You can then delete that custom section. So there's a lot of customization that you can do. The editor, and this is extremely powerful, and it handles Markdown, BB code, which I hadn't come across before. There are a subset of HTML that's allowed as well. We've created a link off here to a site tip giving you more information about what's available there. You can have inline, you can have either inline or code blocks as well. And that's kind of sort of having a guess at the look and feel, at the kind of coloring of it. We've created a highlight. This is using HCLites.js. If that's not valid JSON, so it won't highlight it with JSON coloring. But we've extended the HCLites.js for this so that if you do VSS, it does VoltScript. And if you do LSS, it's got a LotusScript styling on it as well. Sometimes you might want line numbers. Line numbers equal 1, and then you've got line numbers for that particular block as well. As well as code blocks. Let's just discard that, and I'll come back to that site tip. If I now edit this, come down to the bottom, you'll see that that mind map there is using mermaid charts. There's a theme component that was available that we just needed to pull in from GitHub, and you can have mermaid charts in there, and it's using mermaid 10.6.1, which you need to be aware of because mermaid is constantly changing. I'm sure that will get updated as well, but that allows you to create mind maps, flow diagrams, a wide variety of charts. I would recommend using mermaid.live to troubleshoot it, and that will give you some more useful information on when you get the syntax wrong. But there's also full screen option as well. You can either click the exit button there, or as it said, the escape button allows us to get out of that as well. Again, discard that. There's various advanced functionality as well, and I'll come into here for that. So you can, the events area, as I say, it's restricted on who can create those, but you can create an event and give it a time. and where it ends, give it a name, URL for people to link off to, and a time zone as well. So you can change what time zone it's set up for, and that then becomes available. If I just edit this, I don't want to edit it. This is what it then looks like when you create it, and Roberto set this up, as you can see, so it's pretty easy to set it up. You can let other people in the community know that you're going, not going, interested, but click on the link here to actually go to GoToWebinar and register it so that you can set it up at the time. You can add it to your calendar, and that allows you to download it as an ICS file or add to a Google Calendar. Those are the options that are available out of the box. You can import ICS files into Notes and Verse as well. So there's a lot of options there. You can send PMs to people, notify other people as well. So that's really good. We've also got when you create here, you can insert a table, and it comes up with a nice little table area, and you can delete that row, for example, and add new rows onto the end, for example. You can build a poll, single choice, multiple choice, track who votes on which option or not, make it anonymous, and you can add polls into your posts, and then people don't need to be signed it, don't need to edit it to actually reply to those as well. We've got an option for hide details area that you can then expand and collapse. We've got options for spoilers, and as I say, the mermaid chart option there. So it's a very rich editor. They're in the process of rolling out or in preview of a newer editor there, but that's it's a very rich editor already. Categories. If you go into presentations, you'll see that if you create a new one, you're prompted for information. One of the nice things I like about Discourse is it allows you to set up templates for particular categories. So these are specific to this category. So here we've got a checkbox. It does allow you to click and deselect those once you've actually created it, but check marks in Markdown, for those of you who aren't aware of it, blank space between square brackets and it's unchecked, a cross between them and it's checked. Very nice bit of functionality there, but obviously we want to ensure that you've got the rights to share the presentation, and there's no point putting code in a presentation if you don't allow people to use it. So we've just got that confirmation in there as well. If I come across to Domino Forum one, for example, we're asking which Domino version. If there's an add-on product that is relevant to that forum question, include it in there. The versions, the operating systems, all of these things that people may forget to include into a forum post, but might be extremely relevant to actually giving the right answer to them. So we're trying to ensure better quality in what comes in there. So at this point, I will jump back to the slides. We've got RSS feeds. We're pulling in from Collaboration Today. Collaboration, OpenNTF are always looking for curators for Collaboration Today, but those blogs automatically cut those. Whatever they put on Collaboration Today automatically gets pulled in. There are a number of RSS feeds that they've already set up, and that allows us to tag the blog posts accordingly. We're also pulling stuff from YouTube, so OpenNTF YouTube automatically comes straight in as soon as it's pushed up to YouTube. We've set up Notes in 9 there, and also Digital Solutions. Those YouTube videos come into blogs. The Notes in 9 one go to Domino Tips. YouTube does restrict to the most recent 15 posts, which is why you won't see all the history of Notes in 9 posts there. But maybe people in the community can get together and if there's a useful Notes in 9 that they want there, post it into the tips area. Likes and ratings. Discourse has inbuilt ability for likes. Down at the bottom there, you'll see there's this thumbs up, and it allows you to change which emoticon you want to use for that. And the important thing is that does currently count towards level progression. You don't need to do much with it, but that's the inbuilt functionality. We've added ratings. There was a plugin available for ratings, but it required you to actually reply in order to be able to add a rating. We thought that was a bit limiting, so we've built a theme component. It's only available if you logged in. Otherwise you won't see the ratings up the top, and it allows you to rate a topic and add and see the average rating across all people as well. That is using HCL products behind the scenes. I won't spoil it by telling you what that's using, but it is actually using our own product, or a product or products. I won't tell you which. Chat. Chat's available. This is something that they added in. There's a blog announcement there that talks about how they use it, and some intended usage. We've gone with the defaults here. We'll see how this is used. There's no good reason at this point to turn it off, but maybe a good reason to use it might be if someone's got a typo in their post. Doesn't need to be posted in a reply there. You can just send them a quick DM to say you've got a typo here. Then they can improve it, and it then stops kind of cluttering up the replies there. There's probably other reasons that people can think of, but that was an immediate one that jumped out to me. Flagging and moderation, trust level 1. So once you've been using the site for a reasonable amount of time, then you can flag posts. You need to go down to where you see the reply button at the bottom, and you'll see the ellipsis. Click on that and it expands out the buttons under the post or topic. Click on the flag and it brings up this dialog box where you can explain why you think it needs to be flagged. And if something gets 5 flags, then that's the default setting for it automatically closing. If a new user posts something and it gets flagged by 5 people for spam, then they won't be able to post anything more. So there's some nice stuff there, and there's an additional functionality that moderators can do as well. I'll come back to moderators a bit later. Access levels. This is at the heart of Discourse. There are a number of trust levels that you progress through. So if you're a new user, you come in at trust level 0, and you move up the levels. We can also automatically grant certain trust levels. So HCL software employees, which we can automatically assign people to that group based upon their email address. Then they get trust level 3, and ambassadors, they are automatically granted that trust level 3 as well. The other levels you can progress through. There is a trust level 4, which is manually assigned at the moment. We've only got one person in that. But there are certain level things that you need to do to progress through the trust levels. So to get to trust level 1, you've got to have gone into at least 5 topics, read at least 30 posts. Posts include replies to topics, and spent at least 10 minutes reading posts. Hopefully not too difficult. Trust level 2, you need to have done a bit more there. Trust level 3 is quite a level of dedication at the moment to progress to that automatically. As I say, ambassadors are automatically given that and automatically retain that throughout the time that they are ambassadors. But you can get to that level with a certain amount of dedication. And once you get there, you need to keep that up in order to keep trust level 3. We'll look at that and see whether we want to change those defaults. Absolutely all of those options that you see there in bold are configurable, so we can change that. We'll see how things go, because obviously we're covering multiple products. You may not be interested in posts from a particular product, for example, and so reading that number of topics, there may not be that number of topics for if you're just dealing with connections, for example. So we'll see how things go there, and we can manually assign people to trust levels if we wish to as well. I won't go into the full background about trust levels and why and everything that it covers. There's the link to the blog post there to see what Jeff Atwood posted about trust levels when they added those in. There's also a very nice table of what you can do at various levels, and we will be looking for category moderators. So those will have moderator privileges for specific categories, and we may be looking for moderators across all products. So some people may be able to moderate everything in the site, as opposed to just a specific category or categories. There are certain limits on what you can do, particularly around the create side. Blogs, there are limits on who can actually reply to those blog posts. Jesse made a very good point that bloggers don't want to have to manage replies in here as well as on their own blog. So we've restricted who can reply on blogs in here. Other categories, there are restrictions on what you can create, on when you can create in there. So presentations, for example, requires trust level 1. Tips currently requires trust level 1. We may up that to trust level 2 once the site's been active for a while. We'll see how that goes. But at the moment, it's going to be tricky for everyone to get to trust level 2 when we've just gone live. So obviously there's limitations there. Research materials, really, if you're posting those, you're either an ambassador or you're on the road to being an ambassador for that. So there's a higher trust level there, and we'll see around jobs as well. That's one that we may need to tweak. Discourse has mobile applications. The dark screen one there is the dark theme for Android. Cynthia prefers the light theme, so that's the iOS, the iPhone app, and there you see the iPad app. Same look and feel, same functionality across all of those. If you look for Discourse Hub, then you can add our Discourse via its URL and any other discourses that you might be involved with. Right, coming towards the end now, so FAQs. Community forums. We've imported all of the old notes.net content in. That was freezed on being able to reply already. It was already anonymized, so that's been imported in. Community forums, we'd like to try and link topics if possible, but that means that you've got to have set up an account, which people may not have done yet. So we're giving it a little bit of time for people to set up accounts here. If your account here has the same email address that your account does there, then we'll be able to link topics and posts across. Where not, then we will anonymize the content simply because there's the right to be forgotten under GDPR, and that becomes extremely painful to try and handle that if there's not a username behind everything. If a user wants to be forgotten, then Discourse provides the ability to anonymize all their content, which makes it very easy. That's not so difficult. That's not so easy, rather, if we've got to try and search. So that's why we will be anonymizing that content. We're aware this is the Japanese Domino forum. We're aware that the Japanese users have a good need for working in their local language. We'll see what happens around there. But the paid support forums, they will stay where they are. And tech notes, they will stay where they are. There's a specific workflow that they go through, which means that we're keeping that out of scope of this project. And also there's existing links that are out there, left, right, and center. There's KB numbers that are in the URL. That's a consistent format. It makes sense to keep those where they are. Discourse and Discord. This isn't a problem that's specific to us. It's not a problem that's specific to OpenNTF as well. The DXers user group has a Discord as well. There's a blog post that is a nice blog post on why Discourse and Discord should and may work together. A number of the communities that use Discourse also use Discord. Rust does, for example. Node-RED uses Slack. Discord is great for chat. Discourse doesn't really cover voice chat at all. Discord is great for immediate, real-time, urgent, synchronous stuff. It was extremely useful and extremely heavily used and well used during the December the 13th domino issues, for example. Discourse is better for long-term, non-immediate access stuff. But I saw comments about people not reading to the bottom of the tech note on there on the December the 13th stuff, for example. So something more immediate is a better choice for that. And again, the community can weigh in on answers about various things there as well. Discord does voice and video, whereas again Discourse doesn't. Discourse is great for FAQs and answers. It's great for searching and tagging and those kind of things. I'm not sure how many people search the OpenNTF Discord, for example. Just throwing out a question there. Do we want a chat channel in either or both of the Discords for site ideas. Not something that's there at the moment. I'm hopefully going to be connecting up with the OpenNTF board in the coming weeks. We can discuss those things as well. HCL Content, something that Cynthia mentioned early on, was that the product websites exist and they're targeted at a specific audience that is much wider than technical individuals. Discourse works great for technical people. It works great, and it's very much driven on a forum look and feel. Your CIOs are probably not going to be impressed if they had to go through Discourse to find case studies, for example. Customers probably wouldn't. The product websites are much better for that. They have a much better look and feel. That content is much more push orientated rather than interactive. So it's right that stuff should remain on product websites. It's not something that is specific to us. Rust have their own website as well. Node-RED does, Vardin does, but they still also use Discourse as well. There's a specific purpose for the two, and I think we shouldn't forget that. And again, HCL Software U, that's much broader than just digital solutions. As you see there's AppScan, BigFix, Commerce Cloud. There's a lot of products there beyond just digital solutions. It's not right to move that audience onto the developer community. Covers things like certifications, as courses, paying for those, for example. That needs a web application behind it that is targeted for that. And so again, it's right that Software U does that. I regularly go onto the events tab and create events where I see that there's a new one gone in there. But again, anyone within HCL Software could do that as well. So hopefully the events are also mirrored on our site as well. But it's good that there is a specific site for the Software U. Call to actions. We've got in the site feedback, there's a topic post on custom translations. We're looking at the search options at the moment, so we haven't asked for translations on the search knowledge base and search, tech notes, I think. But we're asking for translations on all the other things, including the stuff that we've added in. Thanks to Roberto and Javier for getting in on those translations. Don't know if either of you noticed, but those translations did disappear from the trial site that we had earlier in the year. That was because they weren't also being stored in or some of those disappeared because they weren't being stored into the theme component. That's been fixed now. No one raised it, so you may not have noticed it, but we can capture translations for all the various languages there. If you put them in there, we can go in and update those. We want lots of that expert content to drive people coming in and drive adoption. And if you want to blog but don't have a platform, we could, for example, create a subcategory for bloggers and allow replies on that subcategory. So reach out to us if you feel that could be of interest, and if there's enough take up, then we could allow people to blog here rather than having to set up their own blog with either the Domino blog template or the various options that you can use through GitHub Pages, for example. And use the site. It's only as useful as the people active in it. Engagement, David and Frederick both got ahead of our marketing guys and announced the site. Good on you. And I've seen there's been a blog post from Cormac since talking about it as well. Annalyn and Marty have put internal blogs in there, or blogs from internal people. They're available to everyone. But blogs on Domino 14.5, EA2, and Marty Lecklider did one on Leap. I think there's a link off to a Domino survey as well that Annalyn posted today. We've got lots of site tips. We'll be seeding those as we go along, and we're already working with marketing on engagement activities and possibly more as well. So that's everything. I think I've managed to leave some time for questions, and the QR code there will go to the site as well, so you can use that with your mobile device. Not sure how you'd use your computer to scan that and go to it, but by all means give that a try. Jesse, Roberto, any questions?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. So currently we don't have any questions, but a lot of the times these things will come in. So let me bring up my window explaining how to ask those questions. So there you probably have you should have a questions pane, either a floating window if you're using that style, or there'll be one in the top right. And so you can feel free to ask your questions there. I'll try to blather on for a few minutes here to let questions roll in. I see Rocky is being very supportive, just not a question, but good stuff, and that is indeed true. It's good to see HCL having this stuff coming together. I mean, and I know among like ambassadors and things, it's been running around in the works for a while, and now it's great to see it out there, and nice to see some of this stuff in use together. So it's coming together interestingly.
Jesse, just a comment, a reminder, I guess, is that we would really like to see people make suggestions. If you get in there and something doesn't work for you, use the site feedback category and let us know. We do want to make this a community for everyone. And as you can tell, Paul really knows his stuff about customizing Discourse. So a lot of options there if we need to exercise them. But
yeah, and that sort of thing. Oops, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say we would like that engagement.
Yeah, well, and that ties into like what I was talking about in the preamble. It's like, for OpenNTF and for the HCL community, like, the more feedback the people running one of these things can get, the better. I mean, obviously there are certain limits, but generally, the participation is the best thing you can do. And so, requesting things in this community, and you can, feel free to discuss it in the OpenNTF Discord. And just any participation and interest is always good. Lurkers are fine too. If you've ever watched like a Twitch stream, they're the lifeblood there. But asking questions, requesting things, even if you think it's a small thing or not an interesting question or what have you, the point is to participate in those things. Oftentimes you're underestimating the quality of your feedback, and even in simple cases, that kind of thing can turn into an interesting conversation and an interesting idea. And so participation is king in these sorts of things.
Absolutely. And I'll just say another quick thing about the migration of the current support community forums that are on ServiceNow. We do want to move those over, as Paul mentioned. You'll see more if you're using those actively now. We'll be posting updates on timeline there as well as in our community, so that people can stay in sync. There will be a small downtime involved on the Discourse site when we do that. But we're working on it now. It'll take a few weeks. I don't have an exact timeline because we're still evaluating what that import process looks like, and we want to give people time to set up an account. So I know a lot of people we want to make sure that the questions and answers are all in the same place, and that's why we did the oldsnotes.net forums as well. These products have lots of long history with great information.
They sure do. And I do see there's one question, classic question of basically, will all this information be available? Yes, as with almost all of our presentations. Every once in a while, we'll, for especially like open mics or casual conversations, we won't record them, but our webinars like this are recorded, and it will go up after some cleanup onto the OpenNTF YouTube channel, which is admitted a largely manual process, so it's not immediately after the presentation, but it will go up there, and this webinar will appear alongside our others, and be available for anyone to review, or if you weren't able to be here for the whole thing, to watch the rest of it. So that will indeed be there.
And as I mentioned, once that goes up onto YouTube, it will automatically pull down into the blogs category as well. I'll also be posting the presentation into the developer community. And one of the nice things that seems an obvious choice to do there is that when we deliver additional webinars wherever, if the content changes, then we'll post a reply with the PDF for that particular event in there so that all the instances of this particular developer community presentation are all available in a single thread. One of the things that you can't do in something like SlideShare, for example. So I know that I've historically had to just keep uploading different versions of the same presentation, whereas with this we can just add them as additional replies, so that it's all in a single thread.
Yeah, and along the lines of events in general, it'll be good. Having that calendar, the event calendar, would be good just for federating in all the stuff from elsewhere. I see David Havowitz was saying it looks good, and he's blogged about it and shared it in Facebook and LinkedIn, which should hopefully sort of drive interest, and just generally he's wondering, like, how are you feeling about adoption so far? I know it's very early days.
Cynthia, do you want to talk about what we saw?
Well, we're definitely seeing a lot of uptick since we've released. The marketing stuff has been a little slow to get out there. There's going to be more of it in different locations. Certainly, being a part of this call is good, and we need to reach out to the DXers group as well. If there's places that you can think of that we need to be getting the word out, I'd certainly appreciate that input. But right now, the marketing push has been social campaign on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X, I believe. I don't know if there's other sites.
And we also kind of suddenly saw a big uptake in users last week before marketing had announced it, and we were thinking, why is that happening? And that's when I started hunting around and found the blog posts from David and Frederick, yes.
Yeah.
And it perfectly coincided with when we suddenly got a lot of new people joining.
Thank you guys, both of you on the call, for that. We appreciated it.
All right, so it looks like that's probably about the end of our questions. So I'd like to thank you all for joining, and thank our presenters. And we'll see you in Discord and in the DS community, and in our next webinar. And for those of you who want to delve into Java development stuff, I'll see you next week. But otherwise, see you in our upcoming events, and everyone going to engage. Enjoy as usual. I expect it will be an outstanding time. So see you all around. Bye.
Thanks for having us.